Sup, Sharky? Um, yeah, sorry. By the way, if there is a lag, I really hope it's not too hard right now because it's lagging so hard on my side, it's unreal. Um, that lag is horrible, isn't it? Jesus. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll talk for like 20 minutes or something like that. See how far we can get. Um, yeah, so welcome to my stream. Um, been an interesting week. Definitely been an interesting week. So, I mean, everything was looking really good at the start of the week. Like it was looking really good. I kind of thought that, things were on the up. If we look at Bitcoin, um, basically at the start of the week, it's pretty much here, right? I mean, we're back where we are, where we were at the start of the week. But if we actually look what happened, um, last week we were at 100K. I kind of was telling everyone that at the very least, the short was going to get to about 101K, 100 and I think I said 100,750, something like that. We pretty much tapped it really nicely, right? Even though we closed our short early, because I'm an idiot, but that's fine. I think we've already established that I do stupid things sometimes. Um, anyway, so yeah, we had a really good reaction here. And then we had this really good, what looked, I mean, I would like to say it was an impulsive move up. And the start of the week was looking really, really good, right? And kind of triple topped a little bit. And then we kind of really started losing momentum. And I think, I was kind of sleeping like a baby last night when this happened, but I think there was a lot of war news with Iran and Israel. And yeah, like it just literally, we can see here, like we literally just basically tanked. Um, I mean, obviously for BTC's terms, it's not a huge tank, right? We've definitely seen worse moves. I mean, it was like a 5% drop. Um, Obviously altcoins got hit pretty bad with this drop. Um, Luckily with the doggy trade, we kind of trimmed that a little bit, but then obviously we got stopped, break even. And miraculously, my SUI limit orders all hit. Like the entry hit and a DCA literally hit. Sorry, I'm just gonna really like super quickly jump onto that right now. Um, so so yeah, you can see my entry was my initial entry was like here at like $3.08 and DCA was like down here. To be honest, that DCA was wild because the entry we were basically at $3, right? Was our entry, and pretty much just closed that in a little bit of profit. I don't really want to trade this right now. Um, you know, to be honest, this looks weak. Everything looks weak. I feel like we're just getting kind of like a little relief bounce, and I genuinely do mean a little relief bounce right now because, let's have a look at Bitcoin on kind of the shorter time frame. So if we look at Bitcoin, you know, resistance for a continued downside move is going to kind of be between this zone. I mean, we could obviously count that 786 area that I just took off, but I am kind of looking for Bitcoin to continue downwards from this point. So, unless we start breaking above this previous swing high here at around 108,500. So this is pretty much your turning point right here, right? If we start breaking above this line, then yeah, we can say, okay, I think the low is in. We basically had like a very big 1-2 set up, and we're going to just continue to my sell zone, which for some reason has disappeared. Maybe this is, seems like everything's disappeared. That's really weird. Okay, why is it? Oh, sorry, I just realized it's using Bitstamp, that's not the one. Let's go to Binance because that's the one that's going to show all my stuff. Yeah, right. It's a bit better. I was wondering where all of my lines went. Um, yeah, so yeah, we can see obviously that, as I said, if we do flip this 108 area, then yeah, we can obviously expect to see upside continuation around this area here, which by the way, as I've been kind of telling people for quite a while, this is my personal sell zone, right? So if Bitcoin ever got into this region, which I suspect it will, I can't say when, but it could be the later part of this year. It could be, in the next couple of months. We don't know when it could be, but it could be, soon, right? So we need to obviously be prepared for that. Now, obviously, it's it's looking a little bit dangerous for Bitcoin at the moment, but as long as we're holding the 100,000 area, so as long as we're holding here, we can still expect Bitcoin to continue upwards in the long term. So short term, I'm slightly bearish, although, this daily candle, we've got quite a nice wick here. We're holding above this, 105 area at the moment. So there is a chance that we can obviously continue upwards. But yeah, we just really have to be careful. We don't know what's happening when it comes to news. There was a lot of liquidations that happened last night. So, I would just stay cautious at the moment. I want to see at least us flip back over this 108.5 area. So I'd like to see Bitcoin flip that. Preferably like 4-hour candle closure above it, and then we can expect to see push higher. None of this should be a massive surprise because I've been talking about Bitcoin dominance a few times. Let's just see if it's going to load. And I drew this trend line quite a little bit ago, right? This is a trend line. This is basically a trend line, a descending trend line we've had since April. And we can see we've had 4 touch points, and then we obviously had a breakout. This to me was a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. So this was a 5-wave move up, 3-wave move down, and it looks like USDT dominance actually held a higher low at this point. Now, obviously, you can see here that this is quite pivotal. This is quite pivotal if we look at this, right? Because USDT dominance lost this 5% area of support back in start of May. Okay, and it was acting as support for a couple of weeks during April, right? Now, it lost that support, which was the 50% fib retracement level on a higher time frame. We dropped below the golden pocket area. We were fighting to claim it back. We claimed it back. We were stuck in between the 50% and golden pocket area, deviation below the golden pocket, above, and we're kind of just bouncing around this area of the golden pocket and the 50% fib level, right? Now, obviously, you can see we've retested the 50% fib level today and rejected. Again, that isn't to say that Bitcoin is now just going to fly and altcoins are going to fly, so I would definitely stay cautious at this point because we have broken this trend line and we have obviously broken above previous a previous high here, right? So you can see here as well, we had this 5-wave move up. The 5-wave move, by the way, did obviously break above that previous high, but we are under this level of resistance at the moment. In the short term, we might get some relief, which might mean Bitcoin going to 108,000 or something like that. But this is a little bit messy at the moment. We really just need to kind of look at how this is going to play out. If we look at it on the slightly shorter time frame if my laptop doesn't completely throw a fit on me. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna try to draw a fib. Come on. Sorry, I can understand how this might be a little bit painful to watch because, yeah, laptop super slow. Yeah, so 78.6 pip level was kind of like the last resort for a potential uh, trend reversal here. This is quite a deep pullback. But obviously we did push up and we did get above these little uh, areas here, these little swing highs here. We did get above that, but we haven't got above this main area yet. That's why I'm not super bearish, right? Because if we started breaking above the 5% resistance that obviously was previously support, I would start to worry. Okay, so if we do something like that and retest and reclaim, that is where I'm going to start to worry. And that is where we might start to see things kind of, go to shit. Because, yeah, it wouldn't look good. Okay. Um, Higher time frame, much higher time frame for USDT dominance. We can obviously see that USDT dominance is in a downtrend and it's getting a tight squeeze from this 3.77% area of support down here. So you can see that we've touched it 3 times. We did attempt to break out of this trend line on the 10th of April, and obviously we failed. So this was basically deviation back down again, and we're obviously just now kind of in the zone. It's almost like a range at this point, but we are kind of getting a squeeze. We're getting a squeeze, and it's going to be a really tight squeeze come next year. So, things are going to start getting really racy when we get to maybe Q1 next year. Um, Definitely we would have to be careful when we get to that period. We're not obviously there yet. We're nowhere near there yet. We've still got like another 6 months, 6 to 9 months to worry about that. But yeah, this is just something on a higher level to be aware of. If you're buying spot, you're holding bags, you're accumulating bags, you just want to be careful when we start squeezing over here, because where USDT dominance is going to break out at this point is going to be very important, because if we start seeing USDT dominance break to the downside after this squeeze, win. That's going to be great, right? But if we start seeing it break out, this is like it would have been a 2-3 year long squeeze on this trend line, and that might be the start of our bear market. Okay, so just bear that in mind. I can't obviously tell you how long we've got left of possible alt season. If we're going to get a really nice rally, we could say maybe this is a bear flag, right? Maybe this is a bear flag, and USDT dominance is not going to get back over that 50%, that 5%, area here that's acting as resistance, or the 50% fib level. Maybe we don't get that, and we just go straight down. And let's just say something like this happens, we go straight down, or maybe I don't think we would maybe go down that far, but um I guess we have to see, right? Because I don't want to kind of make this too much about patterns, but obviously there is a chance this could obviously be a much larger bear flag. We break through, we kind of reject at the 382, and then we kind of continue this bear flag down. Maybe hit the support down here. This is when we have our alt season. This is where everyone goes crazy. August is going to be amazing, and then we have a bit of cooling off, and we're going to range for a little bit. Bitcoin might make all-time highs at this point. Again, I'm speculating. I don't know what's going to happen. It can go either way. But all I know is on the higher time frame, USDT dominance is being squeezed. Um, and as I said, it could go anyway. Typically with these patterns, they do tend to break down to the downside, right? But typical, they can break up to the upside. We already had this attempted breakout here, so there's no guarantees, okay? This is one of those things you just have to watch what will happen when it happens, okay? Um, Bitcoin dominance again, you know, it's at major resistance, right? Like we're getting into territory, and I'm gonna like higher time frame this. We're gonna just see that we're getting into territories here where Bitcoin dominance is really getting into that region where I think that we will see a reversal at some point. And this is what I mean, right? As I said, it could be like come August or something like that, Bitcoin dominance might top. We get a little bit of a relief and then we have full blown alt season, right? Um, that's what could happen, but we need to obviously see what happens here, right? Because you can see that this area, I mean, I wouldn't bet my house on it, but this area here, the 73% level on BTC dominance is acting as major, major, major resistance, right? I don't see it breaking above it. Okay? I don't see that happening. We've had this steady, steady, steady climb. We've been touching this trend line a few times. We are getting to an area where obviously we will have also a tight squeeze. Okay? Um, and things are gonna blow in one direction or another. So, either either BTC dominance continues to blow and goes massively high, and there's going to be a bunch of altcoins that just will not exist anymore. No one cares about altcoins anymore. Or obviously we get relief, we get alt season. Okay. But we're getting close. We're getting close, relatively close, right? We're talking a few months here. We're getting to a point where big things are going to happen, but we don't quite know which way yet. I would like to be optimistic and say that obviously our bags are gonna start to fly in the next 3 months, but there's no guarantees on that. So remember, we just have to be careful, take day by day, watch our levels, um, and if anything changes, I'll let you guys know. If I see anything that's slightly, kind of alerted me a little bit in a good or bad way, I'll let you guys know. Um, and that's pretty much it, to be honest, when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum, you know. It's still looking good. Sorry, I really need to clean up this chart, but it's fine. We'll work with it for now. You guys can um, tolerate how messy my chart is at the moment. So again, this is on like a much higher time frame. This is on like the weekly, right? So on the weekly, Ethereum was looking good. You can see that we broke out of this initial trend line here, right? So we were in a downtrend, and the start of May, we had like this massive green candle. Keep it child friendly. Green candle. Um, and the thing is, we've been, you can see, we have been perfectly retesting that 50% fib level. This is why fibs are so important, people. Like, if there is anything you're going to use to trade, you need to use fibs. We're at this 50% fib level here that we've just been like banging on the door, getting rejected, broke through, got massively rejected. This is obviously also coinciding with this trend line that Ethereum has had for quite some time. Not maybe the best accurately drawn, but I mean, you kind of get the idea. Um, Probably need to adjust it very slightly. Yeah, so you can see like this trend line. Everyone can still hear me. Um, by the way, do let me know if you can't hear me, but I think everyone can still hear me. You guys can still hear me, right? Just checking. Because my headset just decided to fall asleep. Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry. My laptop is playing up on me and my headset is switching off when it's got power. Anyway, yeah, so back to what I was saying. So yeah, we've obviously been retesting this fib level, for quite a number of weeks now and getting rejected. Um, which, I mean, it's good we're testing it so many times, but it's also bad that we haven't been able to get any candle closures above it and have rejected it so many times, right? So, that is a little bit concerning. Um, Now, personally, because of what I'm seeing currently at the moment, um, I am seeing a possible pullback. I've said this for a while now, um, you know, and I've said that we are expecting a pullback, right? Once we break out of certain areas, once we break out of trend lines, we normally have to retest an area and have a pullback. And with Ethereum, this is kind of what I've been waiting for quite some time. So I am kind of expecting, a large kind of 1-2 setup, right? Which is kind of going to give us that zone that we've basically been waiting for quite some time. I'm not buying Ethereum right now because number one, I don't like Ethereum that much, so my bad. But if people were to buy Ethereum, for me, this is not really the right place to buy it, right? Um, I mean, if you're looking to hold Ethereum until it's like $4,000, $5,000, even $8,000, then fine. You want to get like a 2x or a 3x, perfectly fine. But I want to get the best RR, and this area here is where I want to is where I would like to buy it. Within this fib region is where I would want to buy Ethereum, if I were to buy it. Um, yeah, I don't have to adjust this. This is pretty accurate, okay? So for me, if we are going to get a pullback, and if shit is gonna hit the fan, Bitcoin's gonna pull back, Bitcoin decides to like break 100K, and we go back down to like the 90K, 95K region, then there is a very good chance that Ethereum will follow suit and it will retest this area down here. We do obviously have this fair value gap, right? Um, so, there is a chance that we do get that fill, okay? And your buy zone is basically this purple area. This is your buy zone, okay? Um, if Ethereum, and this is very big if, pretty unlikely from what I can see at the moment and how we've obviously performed in the past few months. If Ethereum decides to break below $1,700, then I think we start to worry. We start to worry, and we start to worry that we're not going to have an alt season. Ethereum's just going to go to shit. It's going to probably retest one of these much lower levels down here where I've got these yellow lines. Um, and things are going to look pretty bearish, and we might even start a bear market at that point. But we don't need to worry about that as long as we're holding above $1,700. I know it seems quite far away from here, but if we do get anywhere near this region of $2,000, which is a possibility, right? Let's not rule that out. I've been eyeing this for a while. This is the area where I would expect to see a lot of buyers come in. Okay. Um, so definitely something to keep in mind. Um, yeah, so as I kind of was showing you guys a few trades, Sui, for instance. I mean, Sui has basically been one of the best performing coins this year, I would say. I think it's done like really, really, really well. If we look at where it was last year in August, it was like 50 cents, and we got a 10x out of it. If obviously you bought Sui at 50 cents. I'm not saying I did because I didn't, but if you did buy Sui at 50 cents, then I mean, win-win, right? You got a 10x in like what, 4 months? I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy, right? I mean, that's really awesome. Which obviously, kind of makes sense that we're getting the sell-off, right? Um, so obviously we have to be careful, right? Sui has had its run. It's had a really good run, and we could get to these target areas here that I had for Sui at like $8.50, even $10, right? But I think it's going to be a bumpy ride. Again, we had a falling wedge for quite a number of weeks, and it was pretty much months. And we aggressively broke out of that. So we had that big green candle again, like on the 21st of April, that during that week we had that really nice big candle. And then yeah, obviously we couldn't quite get um to the previous highs at around $5, right? We just couldn't get to that. So obviously we're in this pullback now. Now, $2.92 was obviously an area of interest. However, it doesn't look strong. It doesn't look strong. So, my kind of final area of buying for SUI, if we're going to take a leverage trade, if you're going to spot buy and you haven't actually bought at all yet, would be this area here, this kind of $245 area. I think this is kind of going to be a very big area on SUI if we do obviously start continuing to lose that $3 area, okay? Let's adjust this a little bit. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you are pretty much talking between this zone here. Let me just make this a little bit more obvious. Yeah. So it would be kind of this zone here. I mean, yeah, like 228 is very low. I mean, that's very, very, very deep. I would not want to see SUI kind of pull back all the way to that level. This 245 region is pretty much kind of where we have, our order blocks here. We would be able to kind of just close that fair value gap and run. But again, personally, I wouldn't really want to see it like hold too much below the 61.8%, like the golden fib level, right? Golden pocket. I would not want to see it just bouncing around here for too long. What I would possibly expect to see SUI do is maybe even get to that, right? We might even get to this golden pocket region, okay? We might kind of just continue to bounce around here, maybe break down just enough to kind of fill all the bids that are down here, okay? But not enough to kind of completely invalidate the uptrend, right? Because for me, invalidation of the uptrend is going to be if we just break below the $228 level and we just stay there and bounce around there and not do anything. As you can see, SUI reacted to the areas that I pointed out, especially that DCA area of $292, okay? But we got to just see if it holds. I obviously have personally closed my trade. I've told others to close as well because I'm no longer in this because, again, I don't expect this to hold. I don't expect it to hold. We might get a relief, but again, I don't expect it to hold. This doesn't look like a very good bottom in structure, okay? If we're going to trend reverse at this point and go to $10, this is kind of not the structure I want to see. I want to see that we literally like capitulate or get really deep and we have buyers eating that up and we fly. Okay, that's literally what I want to see. You see down here, on the 7th of April where we basically dropped like considerably, right? I don't know, it's like a 10% drop, 20% drop, whatever it was a big drop, okay? I mean, what was that? Like a few days before it was $229, we dropped all the way to like 1.71. I mean, it literally almost lost half its value, right? And you can see the buyers basically ate this up, right? They ate it up like freaking crazy. And you had this nice big wick. And then for a couple of days, buyers were like, nah, I mean, it's not going below this $192 level, right? And that's when we reversed. And that's kind of what I want to see. This for me, I'm not convinced at the moment, right? I'm not convinced. We'll see, but I'm just not convinced, which is why I closed my trade. I'm not entering any longs at the moment. I kind of want to see what the market does, see the market settle down a little bit because, Trump can say something, the Iranian, military can say something, and that's it. Like the whole market goes to shit. So I think we just need to sit tight right now. Um, I'm not going to ape into anything crazy, but if we start getting really low levels on Sui, that's going to be a buy, right? For me, that's going to be a buy. Because bad news, bad things, they don't last forever. The market will pick up eventually, and people will enter the market and come back to the market. And we want to have those entries when people are scared and thinking they're going to lose money and they're just, terrified to enter the market. Remember, we buy the fear, right? You don't buy when everyone is like super excited and like, oh my God, this is old season, this is amazing. Like, no, you don't buy then. It's too late to buy then. You buy when there's fear. You buy when people are literally just throwing the towel in and saying crypto is a piece of crap and nothing's going to work out. That is when you buy. Because you buy at that time, eventually people will be like, oh, crypto is great because that's how people are. Um, Everyone's like, oh, this is crap, and 5 minutes later it's brilliant. That's just how people are. So, that's why I'm saying you guys just gotta have patience. I'm having patience as well. We want to get good bids. We want to get good spot buys as well, right? I've not actually called any spot buys recently, but I'm gonna make some calls if or when we get to certain regions like this, if we see big drops like this. Another coin I've been eyeing up, I know Sharky's gonna have a go at me about this, but Fetch AI, right? So Fetch AI is like the bane of my life. Um, we had such a nice rally from when we had that like massive kind of AI, Nvidia, oh my God, like, ChatGPT is gonna save the world kind of thing. Um, and we can see the rally that Fetch AI did, which was impressive, right? Um, Now, I do see this as a three-wave move down, like a very large ABC down, okay? Um, and I do want to see a 1-2 setup, okay? And this is why I've drawn this here, right? So I've got this possible long position that I'm waiting on. I don't think Fetch AI has bottomed yet. It hasn't bottomed enough for me yet. My buy is basically going to be at that golden pocket, at that 60 cent region. We might, dip slightly lower than that, like 55 cents, whatever. But I wanna get some bids in if we get down to 60 cents. Okay. And maybe we'll go lower. I mean, it kind of depends what Bitcoin does, right? Bitcoin can decide to just screw everyone over. So, for me, if we really want to kind of show what the last resort is kind of like 48, 49 cents, right? On Fetch AI. That is kind of where I would expect us to have bids, spot bids, leverage bids on Fetch AI. Stop loss down here, 44 cents. 44 cents is kind of around going to be my stop loss. That is kind of, you've got like a swing low here, you had a previous swing low down here. So you've kind of got a little bit of confluence down here. If we do obviously see 4-hour candle closures below that point, then I think we would start to worry. We've also got this massive trend line, right? We look at it on the weekly. This is a weekly trend line that Fetch AI has. Let's just scale out for a minute, right? And we look at this on the higher time frame. A higher time frame, I mean, I'm looking at targets of at least $4.50, right? At least $4.50. I mean, this trade, I've, set it to the previous high, but realistically, I would expect to see Fetch AI in the next 6 months, to get to $4.50 at least. If we're super bullish, $5. Okay, people are saying $100. They're crazy. They don't understand market caps. But some people are saying $10. They're optimistic. Okay, but at the very least, I think Fetch AI could get to 4.5 to $5. And I think if we start buying here, well, even here, right? I mean, this is not terrible. If you're holding spot, by the way, if you want to hold spot, even buying in this region is not a terrible thing to do. Okay, you might buy 50% here. We drop down to 50 cents. You buy a little bit more. Okay, and you DCA yourself, and you get a good bag, and you want to hold that bag for like 6 months to a year. We get to maybe $3.50 or something like that. You take a little bit of the bag out, right? I mean, you're almost 10xing. You're like 8xing at that point. Fetch AI is basically one of the best coins to invest in my opinion, at this time because of where it is. And I don't think it's gonna just randomly go away. Um, Probably like the other AI coins, like Render, for instance, like Ocean Protocol. Okay, um, which again, I think Ocean has teamed up with Fetch AI, and it's like ASI now, Artificial Super Intelligence, or whatever Alliance, whatever it's called. It's a big thing, right? It's a big thing. So, um, yeah, again, Fetch AI, it's going to be another one of my coins that I'm going to watch, and I'm going to keep an eye on, and I'm going to obviously alert you guys if I see anything. I've got an alert set on here, right? So I've got an alert set on here. I'll probably post a full setup later today, just in case we, start capitulating and Bitcoin capitulates and we start, getting very close to that um, entry. Then yeah, but I will post this trade setup today because I think this is probably one of the best trade setups that at least I have on my side that I can offer um, as a trade that we would hold for a few months. Um, you know, if you want to leverage this, obviously you can buy here, you can hold it until it gets back to previous highs at like, what, $1. Okay. You can say, okay, it's reached $1 now. I bought it on leverage at like, 50, 60 cents. You know, I mean, you're flying at that point anyway. But if you want to hold this for spot, yeah, I mean, this is your zone. This is your zone here, right? Um, I'm gonna stop banging on about Fetch AI. So I've spoken about Sui, I've spoken about Bitcoin, Ethereum, obviously, like everything, um, the big kind of players. HBAR was another one, right? So HBAR, it's a funny story. So HBAR was a trade that I was looking at that I kind of did on my other half's account, and he kind of showed me it and was like, "Oh yeah, like look at it now." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's done pretty well." Completely didn't call it on the chat on the Discord chat, but I didn't even I wasn't even in that trade, so story of my life. But it was a good trade. Well, it was a good trade while it lasted because I mean the entry it literally filled my entry like on his account completely spot on because it was like here, and we had a good push up. We got above previous highs, but this is a bit worrying. This is a bit worrying, and I kind of told him to close out. I think it was around here when we started losing this trend line. He still got $80 from like a $20 trade, but it was good. Like closed it out there, but this was a bit worrying because I really. I really was hoping with H bar that we would actually see upside continuation. To be honest, it's looking worse than a lot of other coins in the market. Like it literally broke below the previous low. Okay. So it's a little bit concerning at the moment what we're seeing. There's quite a lot of volatility in the market at the moment, which is why, as I said, I'm not touching anything. I'm just watching. Um, and the market is struggling. Again, H bar is struggling. Okay. H bar is struggling. Um, I'm not going to be long in H bar yet, but again, something to just keep an eye on. Okay. We had that previous low here at 0.125. This was kind of like a major area on H bar. You can see there's quite a few highs over here. This is obviously an area of considerable confluence, right? So again, this is going to be an area to watch. If we happen to go all the way down to that area, then obviously we can possibly expect a double bottom. I don't think double bottoms are very um I don't think they're very tradable. I don't like trading them. Yeah, sure, we can obviously get a reversal, but for me, in terms of Elliott waves, I don't think they really conform to how I like to trade. I always think that a double bottom is going to get taken out. So, as I said, I would much rather like to see a bottom in structure, where we might kind of go below this previous low here, and then start to reverse. But we aren't seeing any sign of that. We are still holding that previous area there, that 0.156 cent level. Um, but again, market looks weak. I wouldn't trust anything at the moment. Um, So yeah, I'm not aping into trades, but this was just a trade setup that I originally had quite a while ago. And yeah, I think, if we start kind of breaking below this area here, for me, this is going to be an invalidation. And I think we are going to start seeing that kind of 12 cent level. And to be honest, I mean, if we lose that, then, it's a long way down. It's a long way down on H bar. But saying that, of course, if we do come down, if we do come down before we reverse and go up again, um, you know, there are some areas to watch, like for instance, this area here. This is an area I was highlighting. Kind of like the 8 cent level. Again, very far away from that. It would have to lose around 50% of its value, but you never know. We'll just keep a watch. I've got alerts set again. Anything that looks tradable, I'll let you guys know. Um, so other coins that I could talk about. Oh, well, how can I not talk about Link? Um, so yeah, I mean, I always say that I always have said this that Link has always been a coin that somehow shows you what's going to happen in the market. And when Link started tanking a little bit, I was like, do you know what? I kind of have a bad feeling about this. Um, and the problem with, you know, the problem with Link at this point here, so you know how we kind of came down to this 12.7 dollar region. The problem at this point is that this is obviously just still a three-wave move up here. Okay, this was a three-wave move. So we didn't have any confirmation that we were going to really reverse at this point, um, because we needed to see a five-wave move. This is what I wanted to see. I bang on about this all the time. We want to see five-wave moves first before we think that we have a bottom. Now, we did kind of get a five-wave move, and this is what I was talking to you guys about a while ago. Do you remember when I was kind of just like, it's kind of a five-wave move. I still think it's a bit more three-wave move, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt because of proportions, right? Proportions are important when it comes to deciding what a five-wave move is. Now, we can say, oh yeah, maybe this was like a five-wave move. Maybe. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. You know, we use fib levels to kind of determine if it is a five-wave move, but as I said to you guys last time, for now I would label that as a five-wave move. Um, Now, this structure here, to be honest, is very messy. It's a very, very messy structure. I mean, do you call all of that like a three-wave move down? Okay, but then we've had this like attempt here, a micro three-wave move up, and then a failure. I mean, it's starting to get very messy. It's starting to get very, very messy on a link chart. Um, and the fact that we've kind of broken below, you know, 13.5 cents, which was the previous swing low, concerns me a little bit. I mean, it concerns me a lot, not a little bit. It concerns me a lot, right? Um, And you can see on the 4 hour, candle, we kind of retested that area that we lost and we rejected from it. Okay, so, you know, concerning, right? I mean, you can see here, we got to that previous level that we lost, that previous swing low, and we rejected from it. Um, so that tells me at the moment, currently, the bears are still in control. Okay, the bears are in control of this situation, they're in control of the market. There is no reason to get super bullish at the moment. And I'm going to say that with every single coin. I'm going to say that with Bitcoin. I'm going to say that with all the alts, okay? There is no reason to get super bullish. Obviously, as I said right at the start of the stream, we've got USDT dominance that's kind of hovering between the golden pocket and the 50% fib level, right? But we need to see what happens for the next few days. Weekends, I hate trading on weekends. I would just watch. I would just sit and watch. I wouldn't, try to chase money at this point. There's no point chasing money. Look at our 30-day, yeah, our $30 challenge. I mean, our $30 challenge is doing all right. We're on like $50 now, whatever, okay? We don't have to chase money. We just watch what happens. We find a good setup and we go with the setup. And if it fails, it fails. Sometimes I trim if I'm a little bit unsure about the market. Sometimes I might do that a little bit too much and miss out taking more profit. But with Doggy, for instance, it worked out. We trimmed a little bit and then it came back to before entry. So Sometimes you need to play a little bit safe when the market is not looking as strong as you would expect it to look. Um, and obviously in this scenario, I mean, we can see we had this trend line with Link. I mean, we retested this trend line a few times. This is a trend line I drew, a few weeks ago. Um, yeah, I mean, we tested this three times, right? Three is the magic number here for a valid trend line, and we tested it. And obviously, again, we're in a situation where we could be tight squeezing. Okay, we could be tight squeezing here. So, um, this was my original trade for Link that I was eyeing up. So, sorry, let me just take a sip. So, yeah, I was definitely eyeing this up as a really, really good RR trade. Okay. Again, this is probably something that you can take this on leverage. I will take this on leverage if we get there. Um, but I might as well remove that because we've already reached that level. But this is also a very good spot trade. Okay, so you know, again, it really depends how long you want to hold Link. For me, you know, I would say Link is one of the biggest coins, one of the strongest coins. For me, in the next like 6 months to a year, I would expect Link to get to about $50. That's literally what I see. Maybe even higher than that. Obviously, previous highs, so previous all-time high is obviously your first aim, if you're holding on spot. And I mean, looking at it, Link does look promising, okay? Um, but I think from this point, we need to again just be careful. We might see one more low on Link, and I'm not saying that we would drop below this level because I don't think we'll drop below $10. I think $10, when I was banging about it, months ago, and saying, "Oh my God, Link is at $10. What are you guys doing? You should buy." Not financial advice. Um, yeah, that was a really good time to buy. Now we may have an opportunity if we see it get anywhere near $12, 12, 11 and a half dollars. That for me, I think if all things go well and Bitcoin doesn't go to like $50,000, I think we will get a really good buy if we buy Link at around $12 or even 11 and a half dollars if we get it. But again, that's very, very low. I think $12 is kind of going to be our buy zone for Link. And on leverage, you can write that up as high as you want. For me, I think we should be targeting at the bare minimum $26, maybe even up to $30. Um, and then yeah, I mean obviously with spot, as I said, I'd be holding this for a lot longer. You take profits along the way, right? You're not gonna get to $30 and be like, I'm not taking any profits because I want to make sure that it gets $50 because I can, 5x. You need to take profits along the way because if you don't take profits and it gets to $30 and then it all goes all the way back down to $12, you're gonna be kicking yourself and thinking, what the hell was the point? Okay, so I know sometimes we want to just, set our TPs and we see this big number and we're like, oh my God, it will be amazing if it gets that. But in the crypto game, we do need to not be greedy and take profits when we can and just chill, basically, because trading crypto can be stressful. It's not like stocks and it's not like, trading currency and stuff like that. It's a lot more volatile. Um, and we just have to be a little bit more aggressive with our profit taking a lot of the time. And if we get a profit, that's a win, right? In crypto, any profit is a win, so we need to just bear that in mind. Um, yeah. So really sorry about being late. My laptop was being crap, but I mean, it seems to be behaving now, so maybe it likes me talking about crypto. Um, so yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions, you can obviously message me in the chat. I'm normally there. People normally at me and throw funny memes at me and stuff like that. So, but I'm always willing to look at charts and to give analysis and obviously any advice I'm always happy to give. Um, so yeah, just the takeaway from today is basically keep watching the market. I'm not going to ape into trades. I'm going to just sit tight and watch. The weekend's here basically in like 5 hours. So see what happens. See what happens with news. just chill. We had a good week. To be fair, we've had a really good start to June. So let's just chill, see how it goes, and I will probably end the stream there. Kingsley just said TP every time you are above 50% and TP more above it until you reach. Yeah, true, true, true. I mean, I do tend to kind of trim at like 25%, 30%. Um, if the market's looking really shaky, I might even trim a little bit less than that. There are a lot of other traders who trade obviously a little bit more aggressively and like TP very, very quickly. But yeah, I mean, obviously you do your own way, but with the volatility in the market, I always try to do maybe 20, 25% trim. 30, 40% if you're really lucky and you're pushing it and it looks a little bit bullish, but yeah, just always make sure that when you trim, you set your stops to break even because you don't want to lose all your profit, right? So yeah, that is pretty much it. Um, I hope everyone enjoyed the stream. It's nice to see, a few people on here, so really appreciate it. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good weekend and peace out.